Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Free. My name's Danny Colella. I'm the digital content director here, and as you may notice, I'm a different face than you see every week. Ryan Canada, our typical weekly pastor, is spending some time in Florida. I think we have a quick pick. Do we, Drew? Him and the family are spending a week. They're in Miami right now. They're hanging out. They're getting some sun. They're enjoying themselves, and we promise we would hold down the fort tonight. So if this is your first time at Free, I want to say welcome. We have a little bag in the front that has a Free logo on it. Make sure you grab that. A little bit about Free. We are a spiritual community for addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees. So we break the silence of addictions, and one of the ways that we do that, my job here as the digital content director, is to make sure that online, you people online, you feel connected. And we just had somebody come up from the Springs who found us online, and now they're here for the first time. So the power of clicking that share button is huge. So if you're on Facebook or YouTube, go ahead and click that share button and make sure that somebody that doesn't know about this space can learn about the amazing work that we do. So we've got something different tonight. We're going to have Derrick Deidel in the house. He's going to be delivering the message, so it's going to be about forgiveness. So make sure you stick around for that. And before we get started tonight, we want to talk about what's been going on. You guys have heard about our Welcome Home campaign. As you can tell, most every week we're starting to crazily outgrow this space. This week's a little lighter than prior weeks, but we're getting a new location. We're halfway there. There's not a lot of times that we talk about money, but when it's this important and we're trying to get a new home, we talk about it a little bit, and we want to appreciate and say thank you for your help. But this week, tonight only, there is a $2,000 match. So Pastor Ryan and Tammy and Ryan Nuss are putting together $2,000. So anybody that donates tonight, you donate $20, it's $40. You donate $50, it's $100. All the way up to that $2,000 match so that we can get closer to our goals. So you can give at freespiritualcommunity.com/give. So that's about all we have for announcements tonight. Did I give everything, Drew? Didn't miss a thing. Okay, so we do the same thing every week. The first thing we start out with is celebration. So yes, we celebrate the good stuff and we save the hard stuff for the end. So this section, if you're new with us, this is the time where we talk about the great things that are happening in life. Birthdays, sobriety birthdays, new babies, new jobs, anything that just at some point during this week put a smile on your face is worth celebrating with this group tonight. So online, if you're celebrating, we want to hear your comments in the section, and we will come back after our 3-minute break and do those celebrations live with you. So let's do celebrations. Take 3 minutes and put those celebrations in the comments.
Hello world, wake me up to another good morning, time to go. Got that smile upon my face, 'cause there's excitement in the chase, this I know. Yeah, I'm going for the ride and find myself, I am alive, and I soar. Still I run towards the wind and let the challenge draw me in, 'cause I want more. Oh, we are all looking for adventure. 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 Oh, wake up heart and wake up mind, and see the world is yours to find. And with every passing day there's more, calling you out to explore. Get up and go. There is joy found in the race, and I feel it in the place where I'm free. And I simply can't deny it, that I feel adventure calling out to me. and I'm living free, living free, living free, and I was meant to be. Living free, living free, living free, and I was meant to be. I'm living free, living free.
All right, welcome back. We had a great time celebrating in the house. Drew, let's go ahead and grab that mic. Saman right back there. And let's bring Saman and Drew up here to do celebrations on the screen. By the way, Sam, we know you're watching. So welcome back, man. We're glad you're here.
Hopefully Ryan doesn't hear that. He won't let us do this again.
All right, am I good now? All right, so I guess I'll start with this one. It says, Ryan Canaday. I'm not sure who you are, but thanks for tuning in. It says, celebrating family time and fun on the beach. And we've had some great tacos. God is good, and so grateful for the leaders in this community for doing their thing tonight. Love y'all. Thanks, Ryan. We'll celebrate that with you too, man. We're glad you're having some fun, and we're grateful to be here of service for you, man.
Okay, Renee, this is a good one. I've been sober for 2 years and 4 months. I am free. Woo! That's amazing. Woo! Let's celebrate that.
What else we got? Oh, welcome back, sports fans. All right. Shirley Colella says, my parents are coming to visit this week. It's been 1.5 years since I saw them. That's awesome, Shirley. We'll celebrate that with you as well. That's good stuff.
Okay, Samantha. Grateful my daughter-in-law has been hired to start a new job in July. Celebrating new jobs. We had a new job in the house here too. So yay, we'll celebrate that.
What else we got? All right, Lori says, had emergency surgery this week and came out good. All right, I'll celebrate that with you, Lori. It's good to hear. We're glad you're a part of this community.
Lex. Yay, we get to welcome our friend Matt and Flatirons Recovery to the video feed. Awesome. That's amazing. Welcome. So good to have you.
This video feed's pretty cool, I'm not going to lie. Still blows my mind. So yeah, I think that's all we have for announcements. So we'll give it back to Danny. Thank you guys. Love you all whether you like it or not.
All right, welcome back. Great celebrations in-house and online. We're so thankful for this community. We're so thankful for those of you who tune in online as well. So we have something a little different tonight. Like I said, Rev Ra is not here. He is out of town. He's enjoying himself in Florida. He's commenting right now. So if you're online or want to hop on your phone, you can say hi to him in the feed. But we've got Derrick with us tonight. We've got a great message about forgiveness. So this is Awakened. Our third part of our Awaken series, Recoveries, Spiritual Awaken. And Derrick is going to talk about forgiveness. So we've got a quick video. Check it out.
My name's Derrick. I'm stepping in for Ryan this weekend, who is on vacation. I won't shame him for that, so I hope he's having a good time, enjoying himself, and spending time with family. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm completely nervous. I'm anxious. I'm joyful. I'm grateful to be here, all bundled up in one. But I'm going to do my best, and that's what counts. So I'm going to open with a prayer to let God into this moment. God, please come into our hearts tonight and in this space to receive this message of forgiveness through you and awakening through you. Allow my heart to speak. Allow our ears to listen, and let us connect through you. In your name, amen. Well, 1.5 years ago, I stood on the other side of this podium staring up at a semi-good-looking kind of pastor. I'm not going to call him good-looking because that'll go right to his head. But I stood up looking at this pastor, and I don't remember who I was talking to, but it was my first time. I was broken in the midst of my addiction, and I told them I belong up there. And they said, what, as the guest storyteller? And I said, no, as that kind of good-looking pastor up there spreading God's message. And here I stand today as a miracle, a testament to that God on that day gave a little fist pump, and I had to go through some trials, some forgiveness, some growth. But I'm here to give you that testimony, to talk about forgiveness and spiritual awakening. So let's get it started. I'm going to start with Richard Rohr, Breathing Underwater. If you guys haven't read this book, I did a book study at my Sober Living. It's an amazing book, an amazing take on the 12 steps and how not only it works for addicts and alcoholics and whatnot, but it works for everyone. So I'm going to read the last few paragraphs of that. Only mutual apology, healing, and forgiveness offer a sustainable future for humanity. Otherwise, we are controlled by the past, individually and corporately. We all need to apologize, we all need to forgive, or this human project surely will self-destruct. No wonder that almost 2/3 of Jesus' teaching is directly, indirectly about forgiveness. Otherwise, history winds down into taking of sides, deep bitterness, and remembered hurts. Plus the violence that inevitably follows. As others have said, forgiveness is to let go of our hope for difference and better pasts. It is what it is, and such acceptance leads to great freedom, as long as there's also accountability and healing in the process. Nothing new happens without an apology and forgiveness. In the divine technology for the regeneration of every age and every situation, the unbound ones are best prepared to unbind the rest of the world. And how cool is that last few sentences? Nothing new can happen without an apology or forgiveness. No spiritual awakening can be awoke without forgiveness. And when you're unbound, we get to go out and unbind the rest of the world. And I start with self-forgiveness. It's one of the hardest things to face. It's one of the hardest things to endure. To look in your mirror, tell yourself you love yourself, to forgive yourself. I'll tell a story of my own struggle with self-forgiveness. I sat here one night, early on here in my journey at Free, and Ryan was doing heartaches. And I don't know what made me do it. I don't know what made me decide to raise my hand. I'm pretty sure it was God. But my hand shot up. And in that moment, I wanted to let go of a heartache. I wanted to forgive the men and the abuse and the sexual trauma and the things that I went through in prison because I was tired of holding on to it. I let that go in that moment, but it kicked my butt from that day on. In that moment, I never felt so much more guilt, so much more shame. I thought I could never walk back in these doors because now everyone knew how damaged I was. I didn't know what forgiveness for myself was. And all I can remember is as soon as I was done sharing that heartache, I was like, okay, I'm going to have to stiff arm Ryan, do a swim move here, because I'm going to have to avoid some hugs and kisses. And all I wanted to do was get out, but I couldn't. People came up to me and said, that was brave, that was courageous. The same thing happened to me. There was crying and hugging. And I finally made it to that door. As I walked to my car, calling myself a POS, all that shame, all that guilt, I am damaged. I can't go back in that place ever again. I can't walk in there. They all know. They all know how hurt and broken I am. And I punched another dent into my 40 dents of my Honda with the tied-on bumper. And that Honda resembled my life, broken and barely running. And I remember the next day I found myself at my drug dealer to deal with that damage, that shame, that guilt. But little I know, that was an awakening. That was a start. I had sent something away to God. And I kept showing up to this place. I kept coming back. And in that moment, and things working together, working the steps, I came to a moment in the fourth and fifth step about 4 months later. And that's when God sent it back to me. Now, if you remember, like 3 or 4 weeks ago, Ryan had said some fancy Latin word, or can't remember, it was Greek or something with an A. I don't remember, but it meant send it away. And I believe that's true. I think you have to send something away in order for God to return to sender. And the cool thing is God is one of the best mailmen, the best pen pals, the best return to senders of my life. Because yes, we send it away, but he sends it back as a strength, as a tool, as hope, as a miracle, as a spiritual awakening. And in my fourth and fifth step, I handed it all over to a guy, and my friend and God. And I remember when I finally finished everything and I sat with God in that moment, I was meditating. I was trying to feel his presence, and in that moment I was awoken. And guess what? He sent me myself back in the best package I ever got. That damage, that shame, those times in prison, the abuse, leaving my kids, the addiction, it all came back as a tool. It all came back as an awakening. It all came back as a strength. Because he wastes nothing. And that's what an awakening is. That's what forgiveness is about. And in that moment, yes, I learned how to forgive myself. I was awoken to what forgiveness could do. But the next thing I had to freaking learn was forgiving others. I struggled with control, with manipulation, with what I think is best. I was spiritually awoken now. I had God in my life. I knew the answers for you. I knew how you could do it. I knew the right way to go. But people kept getting disconnected from me, kept walking away, were angry. And I realized I had to start forgiving others. So I figured I had to start surrendering their lives, giving them acceptance and grace. So I will lead into that, forgiveness for others. Ephesians 4:29-32, I think describes it best. Let no corrupting talk come out of your mouths, but only such as is good for building up, as it fits the occasion, that it may be given grace to those who hear. And do not grieve the Holy Spirit of God, by whom you were sealed up for the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and slander be put away from you, along with all malice. Be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, just as God forgave you. And that describes everything. I had to let go of what I thought was right. I had to let go of my resentments. I had to let go of that control, that ego. And some of you know my beautiful girlfriend, Hallie, has allowed me to share this story. And it happened recently, last Sunday, at a softball game. And it's funny how God works in these little moments, these little awakenings. But it's called, have you ever heard the story Mighty Casey? Where he steps up to bat. He can't hit the home run, but he's supposed to. Well, we'll call it Mighty Hallie. Bases loaded, 2 outs. We need 1 run to tie, 2 to win. Hallie steps up to the plate. You could see the anxiety, the fear, wanting to be perfect. I can get the run. She was just trying to do her best. First pitch comes up. She swung so hard she spinned around. Strike 1. It was impressive. But me being the coach, the baseball player, the athlete, and knowing what's best for Hallie's life could help her get a hit. Honey, keep that elbow up. What are you doing? You can make contact with the ball. Stay back. Quit leaning. Let's go. You can do this. She got in there again. Same thing, almost spun around, strike 2. This time I was even harder, even more enthusiastic with what I think she could do and what was right for her hitting. And it froze her. In that moment, she couldn't even get the bat off her shoulder. Slow pitch softball, a backwards K. Ball hit the mat. And for whatever reason, God allowed me to shut my mouth right then and there. Because I had all the answers again. You know, I could tell her how to live her life. But I could see it when she came back, and the anxiety and the shame and the frustration. And I couldn't focus. All I heard was everyone telling me how to do it and how I should hit. There was no support. It was here. Nice try, but you can do it better. Here's how you do it better. And I didn't realize what that message was that night, but I was praying in my bed to start my sermon that Sunday night. I said, hey, God, I need your help here. I'm lost. And he cut me right off. And he put a picture of Hallie holding that bat, standing in the batter's box of life, with all kinds of pitches being thrown at her, from being a mom of 3 kids, a single mom, teaching, in recovery, having a loved one of an addict, me, taking care of me, supporting me, always showing me love, grace, acceptance, kindness, showing up for her own life, her family. And sometimes she hits home runs, sometimes she takes the ugliest swings ever. Who am I to tell her any different about how she swings? God let me know in that moment I had to forgive myself for old ways of thinking, of how I see the world, and put his lens on to see Hallie in a different light. I'm not here to tell her how to get it right. I'm not here to tell her what to do, so I picked up the phone, video called her, and I said, hey, honey, I just want to let you know I'm so proud of you. You stepped in, you did the best you can, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm proud of you because you step up to the plate every day in life and you take your swings. Whether you miss, you strike out, you hit the home run, you show up for life, you show up for me, you show up for your kids. I love you. How can I help support you? And I hope you can forgive me for trying to make your life right in my own way. And in that moment, we're both tearing up. And she stops, she goes, just in that moment, I was just an hour earlier writing in my journal, talking to God, expressing to him how my whole life has been compliments followed by, here's how you can do it better though. And we were able to connect through forgiveness. We were woken in that moment. I sent that little moment away to God, and he airmailed a package in that moment right back to me of tools, healing relationships, forgiveness, compassion for someone else's path to him and what that is. So I could either walk with her or I could pull her or push her. But all I can do really is say, I love you, I support you, and how can I walk with you? And that's the power of forgiveness. We were both awoken to God in that moment. We both shared a moment with God of how our relationship could be better. And I realized forgiveness for others is so hard. It's so hard to see people you love, see people who struggle, and say, I got to give them away, give them up? To walk with them? No, come on now. It's not fun. But God always provides. He does for us what we can't do for ourselves. So in that moment, in things that we carried through our lives, we learned a lot about ourselves, and that we're not here to tell the other how to get it right. But right now, we're here to tell them that we love them and support them. Sometimes you got to think, what is it going to take to forgive yourself? I mean, Richard Rohr said it best. The unbound go out to unbind the rest of the world. Forgiveness is a gateway to spiritual awakening. Forgiveness is the key to living a life that's full and happy, of joy, peace, self-control. So look to your left, look to your right, maybe look in the mirror at home. Ask yourself what you need to forgive about yourself. Ask yourself who you need to forgive, who you need to let go, and start to walk with. And I'll end with this. For 4 or 5 months of my life, and they're going to show a picture of this, I was broken. And some of you at home and in this room are probably like, Derrick, what are you talking about? Forgiveness, spiritual awakening? I got pieces of me everywhere. I'm broken. I'm lost. I feel hopeless. You expect me to find forgiveness and spiritual awakening? Come on. No, I don't expect you to find those things right now. Because for 4 or 5 months of my life, with purple hair, green hair, face sunken in, high on meth, I came to this place broken. I walked in the doors. Even after I told him that heartache, no one ever put it in my face. No one ever shamed me. No one ever guilted me. No one ever rejected me. I was met with love. I was already forgiven by these people before they even knew me. So this isn't just a safe place for healing where we don't do shame. It's a place where you can feel broken first. Because if you can't find what's broken, if you can't understand what it is, if you can't understand what that feels like, then how are you ever going to heal from it? So this place, they tore a roof off to have me put a seat in this place. And every step of the way, when I fell, when I stumbled, no one picked me up and said, here's your path to God. No one picked me up and said, hey, this is how you do it. They said, what's your next step? And we'll step with you. No one's going to push you. No one's going to pull you. They're going to let you find your own way to God, whatever that is. And there's nothing more compassionate, kind, and loving that anything happened in my life. They allowed me to be broken so I could be this man today. They allowed me to send those pieces to God so he could send myself back without the shame, without the guilt, without the rejection. Because all that stuff was underneath. I just needed help sending it to God. I love you all very much. And I hope you can find forgiveness in your heart for yourself, for the ones you love. Because he's already forgiven you. Just remember, he's the best mailman you're ever going to have. He returns the sender with a miracle, with a gift, with a strength, a tool. And he takes your worst moments and makes them your strengths. I'm a living testimony to that. So I'm going to ask you a few questions as we go to break here. When you look in the mirror, what do you need to forgive about yourself? What do you need to let go? What's broken that you can start to work on? And 2, who in your life, your brother, your sister, your mother, your wife, your girlfriend, your husband, your dog, I don't know, places and things. What do you need to let go to God? Who do you need to forgive so God can spiritually awake you to something more? Thank you for this opportunity to share forgiveness with you and my journey to it. I love you all. Welcome back. I'm here to introduce Amanda Papesh, who is like a second mother to me. She's our house owner at Akron House, the place I manage. Here's a short video on her before we bring her up. Oh, wow. I thought you were short standing up.
I can't put it.
You gonna be all right? We'll figure this out.
Yes, please. Sorry.
Yeah. Welcome, Amanda. How are you?
I'm good. How do I follow that? My gosh. what is
Follow what?
it? Your story.
Thank you so much. Now it's your time. So we were talking about forgiveness, and this is kind of the aspect from the loved one of an addict. I guess the biggest thing I heard you talk about a lot was it was easy for you to forgive but hard to trust. So kind of explain your journey of forgiveness with Lex and that trust aspect.
Well, Lex is my husband, and we were married for 22 years in our addiction, in his addiction. When he finally went to rehab about 11 years ago, going on 12 soon. But I started going to Al-Anon. I started working my program after he came out of rehab, and I thought everything was good. You know, I had forgiven him. I had moved on. I had our marriage was good. Our children were good. And it was maybe about 3 years ago when a friend of mine asked me why I didn't like hugs. And I said, because it's too intimate. And he said, so what's wrong with that? And I said, that means that I have to take all my walls down, that I have to allow people in. And that's when I realized that I still had some work to do, that I still had my walls, and that I didn't trust people.
Yeah.
And I didn't trust him because during when he was in his addiction, he lied to me. He knew that some things about me that he used to manipulate me and to go use or to, go drink, to have an excuse to drink. So, and that hurts, right? So I was not willing to be vulnerable enough to allow that to happen again.
Yeah.
That was.
So you
I've
talked.
done a lot of work.
It
It's
is a
like
lot of work.
It's like an onion,
From
right?
the addict's point, we're forced to change,
Right.
but we leave this wreckage, and the other people are picking up the pieces while we're spiritually awoke. And let's talk about that. You told me a story of Lex kind of being the prodigal son at church, and you were in the background. Tell us something about that.
So after he went to rehab, we were at church, and the people that knew that he had an addiction and he was not doing well, and knew that he went to rehab, he came out, and everybody was like, "You look great. How are you doing? You look great." And people just came around him, and I was in the background, and I'm hearing all this, and I'm back there thinking, what about me? And not in a victim way, but more like I'm the one that took care of the kids, had 2 jobs, made the meals, paid the taxes, tried to keep it all together while he was in rehab, while he was drinking first and almost dying, and then in rehab, and I was dying. I didn't have time to go to my recovery yet, and now all the attention is on him, but me and my kids are not doing well yet. We're not recovered, and we're the ones left behind.
Yeah. We'll kind of explain that feeling and like the hurdles or the steps you took to either forgive or transition to heal yourself, how long that took.
Long process.
Right.
So there was this one time, we were coming back from El Paso, driving back, and he had been drinking, maybe El Paso, I don't know, Albuquerque, somewhere south, and he had been drinking and probably ruined, in my eyes, he ruined whatever the celebration we were there for. And I was using the silent treatment in the car, all 12 hours driving with silent treatment.
We get that a lot.
Yep. And, I use that. So I'm in the car. By this time, I had already, I walked away from God when I was 18, and I had no God. But something made me go back to church and start growing and doing Bible study and learning about God. And I was at that point where I knew I could trust him again, and he was in my life, and I was still wrestling with God. But I was in the car, and I said, "Okay, God, here we are again. I know I probably have to forgive, but how many times do I have to forgive?" And I am wrestling with God, and I am screaming, all in my head. I'm screaming at him, saying, I can't do this anymore. I have forgiven him so many times, and he keeps drinking, and he keeps doing this, and he keeps, putting us in these situations and ruining whatever we're going through. And I remember that passage in Matthew 18:21
Yeah.
to 22, where when Peter comes to Jesus and says, so Jesus, how many times do we have to forgive our brothers and sisters? 7 times? And Jesus says, no, 70 times 7. And I said, so God reminded me of those verses, and I said, no, that's 490 times. I have already forgiven him 489 times. And he said, okay, you have one more. And I knew I had to forgive. I don't think I ever had that fight with God again. Every time I had to forgive, I forgave. And I didn't have to do it. There was another time when I'm driving, going to work. He is now in the basement, 24/7 drinking, dying. And I was so angry. And I just remember saying, God, just change this anger into compassion, because I know that the anger is going to kill me. And he did that like that.
Yeah.
Compassion for where he was. Compassion for this man that is dying, that is in his disease and not able to get out.
So when you say that, after Lex got saved and he had his light bulb moment in rehab and he's killing it and doing everything, tell the loved ones of addicts, even the addicts here, about your process and how long that kind of took before you even knew you had to get vulnerable, before you got to a place where you understood relationships and trust. Give them a time frame so they can understand patience.
It was 10 years.
10 years?
10 years. I've been working on it for 10 years. And, and God keeps revealing things to me that I need to work on. Things from my past and traumas and, things that continue to show up, and you just keep working at it. It's a working process. It's never done.
Yeah.
I think that at this point, once I realized that I had those walls, and not feeling my feelings and allowing those feelings to stop me, I just kept going and going and going and not allowing myself to even feel. I had to get to the point where I can feel, I can recognize my emotions, and then go to Lex and tell him where I am, and just be vulnerable without the fear of being laughed at or use those things that I'm telling him against me.
Yeah.
Our relationship has gotten better and continues to get better. We are going to celebrate our 34th anniversary.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
God allowed our marriage to get well and to continue, even though we had 22 years of that addiction, and then, his rehab and my recovery, his recovery, and, 10 years, and now we're there.
Well, I've never seen a couple more committed to their separate recoveries and how it comes together. It's awesome to see. I want you to end with the story, and I think it's a cool story, and then go ahead and tell the people here what you feel is the best way to handle forgiveness. But tell me the story about going in the pit. It's an awesome story. You got to share it.
So, I didn't. Okay, so I told you that I walked out from God at 18. When we were getting married, I told my mom we were getting married, and she said, well, what about, are you going to get married through the church? I said, nope. There's no God. And she said, everything I do is what I do. It's my success, it's my failure, and it's mine, and I own it, and that's it. There's no God. And she said, very patiently, she said, well, I just want to tell you that life without God is very difficult. And that's how she left it. I had this moment, and we had kids and all that, and I started pursuing God. I did Bible studies. I got to know him better and better and better. It took a long time. It took a lot of work. doing Bible studies and going to church and reading the Bible and doing all that. But I always felt like I was in this pit, a very deep, ugly, dark pit. And as I was learning, I was coming out and just, hanging on to that wall as I was climbing out of it. And at one point, I saw Jesus' hand, with his
scar there.
scar and pulling me out. And I knew that he had forgiven me. I knew that I could count on him. And I spent some time with God and just resting. And then there was one day when he said, now I want you to jump back in that pit and help Lex. And I knew that I couldn't do it, but he needed that support. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, if you didn't go back in that pit, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. So thank you for going in that pit.
And that required forgiveness, and
It
that
did.
required, and I couldn't do it without God. There's no
So
way that could be done.
with the Al-Anon hat side or the loved one of an addict, just give us a brief description of how maybe you can help some of the people here understand how to forgive and to help their addict in the best way.
Trust the process. Get help for yourself. Go to Al-Anon. It's amazing what happens there, and you don't go one time. Keep doing the work because it's worth it. It's not to help the other person. It's to help yourself and to recover yourself. I mean, there's a lot of damage that has been done, and a lot of trauma and a lot of hurt. Do that work. Go to Al-Anon. Find those people that will help you. And maybe, hopefully, the person that is an addict will see that recovery, and what happens is that your heart changes.
Yep.
God changes your heart in that process. And you get to love them, and they see that, instead of that rejection and that constant fighting and pushing and begging and lying and manipulating and looking for bottles or whatever it is that we do, the crazy things that we do. We change that, and they notice, and maybe they would like to have their own recovery. But it just helps the relationship, regardless of whether they get help or not. Hopefully they do.
Well, Amanda, I love you.
I love you.
You're my
too.
second mom. Thank you for coming in and
thanks.
sharing the story. That was awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Danny's going to come back up to get us started with a little heartaches.
Somebody's talking to somebody. Is this on? There we go. All right. Let me get into frame here. Well, that was a great share. And one thing I do want to make sure I say is there are three parts of this community. There are the addicts, then there are the loved ones of addicts, and there are the spiritual refugees. And it was great to have Amanda here as a loved one of an addict. And we want you to know, if you're a loved one of addict in the audience, connect with people. Find your other people in this community. This is about camaraderie, finding people that are like you, that have problems like you, that you can talk to and confide in. And that's one of the beautiful things that we're building in this community. One of the other things we're building in this community, as you guys may know, we are in the middle of our Welcome Home campaign. We are on our way to a much larger space that's going to have room for kids who, praise God, are ultimately quiet tonight. I don't know what's going on back there. But we're in the middle of our Welcome Home campaign, and to kick this off, we've got a little video from Rich and Sheila Pepe. So let's check out this video real quick.
Hello, I'm Rich. I'm the loved one of an addict and a spiritual refugee.
Hi, I'm Sheila. I'm the loved one of an addict.
Free has given me a newfound connection to Jesus and my spirituality in my life that's been lost for a long time. I was ridden with a lot of guilt and fear and not knowing a lot about religion until Free and Reverend Ryan helped explain the scriptures to me in a meaningful way and it's brought me more contentment and more peace, and it's helped me along my spiritual travels.
I gain hope every time I listen to a storyteller tell their story. It fills me with compassion. It reminds me that addiction is an illness and all people need to be treated with grace. I get to come here and I get to serve coffee. I get to donate monetarily, and I get to love sideways. And by that, I mean I get to bestow love and kindness and grace on the people in this community. And I'm hoping that that will be a huge ripple effect, and someday someone will be able to bestow that on my addict.
Listening to the stories, the triumphs and the heartaches, both inspires me, and to congratulate the people that are doing well and to help the people that aren't. And I want to especially point out Reverend Ryan, who doesn't preach from the pulpit, but more talks to you from eye level. He doesn't preach from book learning, but he preaches from experience. And I get a heart-to-heart connection when I listen to him.
I think the community needs free because there's so much addiction. There's so much that is addiction that's covered up, and there's so many people that are in pain.
And I think the larger community needs free because of the gratification and healing and camaraderie that you get from the group.
That's all right. All right. Give it up for Rich and Sheila Pepe in the house. So the reason we do these videos every week and we see different faces is because this community means something different to all of you, right? Some of you come here for camaraderie and finding people that are like you. Some of you come here for spiritual growth. Some of you come here because you don't know where else to go. And this is what we are building here at Free, that ability for you to come. This story that Derrick shared with us about sitting here with his deepest, darkest secrets and finally getting the confidence in a group of people, not just a one-on-one interaction, to share something so hurtful so that he could let it go, is what we're creating here. And to see Derrick where he is today, let's give him a big round of applause, because great people start right where he did. And if you might not know that, this was his first time giving a message, and I think he did a fantastic job. But this is what we're building, you know? Back then, Derrick wouldn't have given himself the credit to stand up here and speak with you guys. But through the power of this community, and for everybody that knows this, what is the tagline here? We don't do shame. To not have shame with what you're going through is so big. So I want to encourage you, again, we are in the middle of this Welcome Home campaign. We're trying to get a much bigger building with rooms downstairs for us to host multiple AA meetings, a cafe, and a much bigger sanctuary to kind of hang out and get to know each other. And tonight, I want to remind you, there is a $2,000 match. freespiritualcommunity.com/give. Ryan Canaday and Tammy Canaday and Ryan Nuss are putting up $2,000, and anybody that donates tonight by midnight, that is going to be matched by them. So if you feel so inclined to be a part of breaking the silence of addiction, and I've talked to a lot of people in this room, raise your hand if you've never found anything like this. Anything like this. That's a big portion of this room. And I agree. That's why I'm so passionate about this community. We're changing lives. We're letting people come exactly where they are and be dealing with what they're dealing with as a group, as a community. Not, hey, you know, you're broken. Like, maybe you should get it together and come back in 2 weeks. That's nothing you hear here. It's come as you are. We've all been through a lot of the same stuff. And we do at this time need your help to get to that next stage of where Free is heading in the future. So if you have the ability, there are 3 ways to give in this community. 3 simple ways. If you haven't already, we have an amazing, cool, free app, and it's also free, and it's called Free. You can search Free Spiritual Community in the App Store, and you can donate that way. Another way is at the website, freespiritualcommunity.com/give is the second way you can support the community, or you can text Be the Wagon to the number on the screen, and that gift will help sustain the mission here at Free. So if you feel so inclined, go to the website and be a giver. Help us break the silence of addiction and create Derricks all over the world. So we end this way every night, and that is with heartache. So we start with the great stuff, and we end with the real stuff. The things that we're going through, the struggles, the people we lost, the people that, aren't with us anymore or out back drinking and doing what they do. We whatever heartache is going on in your life, we want you to know that you're not alone. And one way that we let you know you're not alone is we talk about it together in this community. Derrick let it go one night, and now he's standing in front of us today because he got to say it out loud. So we're going to do the same thing we did with celebrations. We're going to take 3 minutes. We're going to let our online community kind of go live in the chat and talk about their heartaches. And then here, if we've got anything heavy or anything we want to share or talk about, we're going to do that in person. So take 3 minutes and let us know your heartaches. Brandon, we're just praising you. Good job. Any other last minutes? We're live, but if you want to go, right here. Okay. Prayers, man. Thanks for being here. All right, welcome back online. We just spent about 3 minutes in the house. Some heavy stuff going on in the world, and that's okay. As a community, we get through this stuff together. We support each other. If you feel inclined to connect with somebody either online or in person that is going through something like you are, do it. That's the point of this. The beauty about this community is there's a lot of me too's, right? Me too. So we're going to celebrate these heartaches online. Let me get Hallie up here and Kavita. They are going to read off our online praises. Can you see?
I can see now.
Hey, sister.
Hi, sister. All right, so we're here, and we would love to, send you our prayers. And so we're going to share some heartaches today. You want to read first, Kavita?
Okay, Lori. My husband's young onset Alzheimer's is progressing quicker right now. Pray he remains himself as long as possible. Our youngest is 15. We need to make more memories. That's very true. Prayers for you, Lori.
Amanda, pray for my sponsee and her family who are struggling with custody of her grandchildren. Oh, that is so hard. We are definitely sending prayers to you and to your sponsee and their family, and give them strength and love and joy.
Lori, love and prayers for my sister as she lives her life with bipolar and sadness. She is the strongest woman I know. It takes a lot to get through that. Prayers for her.
Samantha says, please pray for my daughter's friend who was in a car accident today, fractured spleen and 2 broken vertebrae in her neck, surgery tonight or tomorrow. We're praying for her to have a speedy recovery, for the doctors to be able to take care of her, and for her to have a full and healthy life ahead of her. So sending definitely heavy, heavy prayers today.
Lala Murphy, my son got arrested on Wednesday night for DUI, second in 3 years, still sitting in jail. A lot of us have been there, so we are holding space for him, and we've got a chair for him when he's ready.
Lillian says, pray that God brings my grandsons home safely soon. We are praying for you, Lillian. We hope your family is brought back together, and our hearts are with you.
Christy, praying for my friend whose grandmother is nearing her end of journey on earth. I ask God to be with Stacy and her family as they say goodbye. Some heavy stuff.
That's a hard one. And, we want to also say, may you have cherished memories and a lot of grace and love and light in your life. It's really hard when people are coming to the end, and it's, may you find peace and comfort in the moments you shared with them. So sending our prayers and our deepest condolences.
I think I did the last one.
Oh, we're it? Okay. Well, thank you guys. Sending prayers. And you guys keep sending in heartaches if you need to. We'll keep taking them. We'll keep praying for you guys. So thank you.
Thank you, Hallie. Thank you, Kavita. And we'll end with this. We'll go out with a serenity prayer, but I want to read something this past week that's come up 3 times in my life. And it's in the big book on, I think, page 552 in Alcoholics Anonymous. And it's called the Resentment Prayer. And when talking about forgiveness, I thought this fit. He said, in effect, you have a resentment you want to be free of. If you will pray for that person or thing that you resent, you will be free. If you will ask in prayer for everything you want for yourself to be given to them, you will be free. Ask for their health, their prosperity, then happiness, and you will be free. Even when you don't really want it for them, and your prayers are only words, and you don't mean it, go ahead and do it anyway. Do it every day for 2 weeks, and you will find you have come to mean it, and you want it for them. And you will realize that where you used to feel bitterness and resentment and hatred, you now feel compassionate, understanding, and love. I then committed to God and my sponsor that I will not speak of this resentment again. And when the resentment and compulsive obsessive thinking of this person, place, or thing pops into my head, I will say, thy will be done, and not speak it or think it. Just remember that when you're struggling to surrender someone else. Wish for their happiness, wish for their joy, wish for their health. Pray for those things, and watch God work in your heart. Let's go out with the serenity prayer. For those of you who don't know it, it'll be on the screen. So Ryan usually points that out. But God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thank you for coming out tonight. Stay connected. Get some coffee. Thank you for this opportunity. I love you all. Have a good night.
People ask me what my secret I got a big heart, I can let you in.